Assalamualaikum, my name is Izharuddin and I'm going to be talking about the Linux kernel, what a kernel is, what Linux is, and since we are students of computer sciences and we have teachers who teaches computer sciences and they have got big level of understanding, why not we go into some deep matters of what this whole, a brief introduction of what a kernel is. A kernel is actually a software that integrates the computer and how the computer works and the operating system, the main part of the computer, and it tells the computer what to do. It integrates and it provides a link and a connection between the computer, the hardware, and the operating system. And there are kinds of Linux, many different kinds of, and there are many different kinds of operating systems. But the kernel is the main and the most important part of the computer. Moving on to the terms and conditions of the Linux project, a brief history of Linux would be quite a thing. As you know that this operating system was a project a student began making back in the 1990s. His name is Linus Torvalds. And this was a project that he was making, as you know, a free operating system and a free open source system where you can make changes with the source, with the software. You can make changes where you can work and swindle with the whole environment, and each and everything that you think of that you want to change yields an output that is totally surprising. And that was the idea behind this operating system. Linus Torvalds had this idea in mind to create a free open source project that each and every person could use. So in 1992, he published and made the software under the GNU and with a GNU project, the GNU brand, and he made it a free open source software with a copyright license. And this was a project, and it has been worked on since 1992, and it has lots and lots of different versions, that we use as of today. The different types of kernels that I would like to talk about, as much as there are two that I'd like to talk about: the monolithic kernel, and then there's the microkernel. Linux kernel or the Linux operating system is quite fun and quite a good thing actually. It was built by Linus Torvalds, a student or a graduate of computer sciences and some higher studies, who was working on this project back in the 90s and wanted to make this free open source software that each and every person could use. And the basic principle behind this motivation or this this project was that it had to be open source, and open source meant that of course people who were supposed to use this could make changes in it. And as computer sciences, that for example, I'm a student of computer sciences, and for me to learn the basics of computer sciences and to go to the higher levels and to dwell deep into the world of computer sciences and learning, I have to make changes and know what every and each change makes, or what result it yields. And as a user of Windows and Linux both, I think Linux provides you an environment where you can make changes, where you can work and swindle with the whole environment, and each and everything that you think of that you want to change, something great. And who knows, maybe if you do certain things, maybe you can do something great, and maybe your version can be even more greater than the one that Torvald created back in the 1992, and you can even publish it. And on the other hand, there are kernels and there are operating systems like the Windows and the Mac, which are also good. They have their own taste, the GUI that they use, and which is a great thing. But Windows has its own benefits. The Mac has its own benefits, and the Linux, of course, CS students who loves to code, who loves to explore and discover. So Linux is for them, but that does not mean that it's just Linux that we have to use. Windows provides a very great service. Of course, there are certain things that we can't do on Windows that we can do on Linux, and then there are things we can't do on Linux that we can do on Windows. But today, where the world is, you can't deny the fact that supercomputers, mobile applications, laptops, and every person on this planet is somehow using Linux, and the same way or another, Windows is also used. I believe that this provided a very good insight into the whole situation, into the whole idea of what Linux kernel is, and I'd be providing more insight about this, about other topics, and I hope you liked it. I hope you got the idea of this whole topic. Thank you very much.